Hey everyone, welcome back to another PNSO review. Today we're going to take a look at their newest entry in their Dinosaur Museum line, Aubrey, the Torosaurus. I am really excited for this figure. Torosaurus is my favorite ceratopsian of all time, and a lot of us knew this figure was eventually going to come. You know, there's a leak list out there, and Torosaurus was on there, and this figure is finally upon us. Now, unfortunately, since it's part of the Dinosaur Museum line, it does command that wallet-killing $60 price point. I ended up ordering this figure from PNSO's AliExpress store. I like ordering from their AliExpress store because they don't charge you shipping if you order it from their Amazon storefront before, you know, it hits Prime. They usually whack you between $8 and $12 shipping. So AliExpress is the route I usually go with ordering my PNSO figures. So I'll leave a link down below to their AliExpress store in the description. So let's go over the packaging really quick before we take a closer look at this Torosaurus. You got a nice picture of Aubrey on the front with the baby that is called, let me look at the top of the box, Dabie, I guess that's how you say it. Whatever, if I'm wrong, just let me know in the comments. You got the PNSO Dinosaur Museum logo on the side, you know, product information on all sides of the box, yada, yada, yada. You do get a nice informational brochure inside the packaging that has some nice artwork of the Torosaurus. I think this is the bronze statue that they showed off that was like, you know, a few $100. I'm probably wrong. But, you know, you get some information about Torosaurus. You also get some nice pictures of the model itself. We'll eventually get there. Just thumbing through this right now so you get some nice pictures of the figure. The baby, I love the inclusion of the baby. I'm okay with the $60 price point if they just include either a baby or like some smaller species that coexisted with the dinosaur that's in the packaging. That would make that $60 price point much easier to swallow. And you can see some nice product images of it. And then right here we have a picture of all the nice posters that come in the box. There is a lot of them. I think there's like 20 or 22 of them. And, you know, speaking of the posters, we get this giant envelope right here full of all those nice posters that none of us are ever going to use, and we know exactly what to do with these. Remember to recycle. So enough about the packaging and all that poster junk. Let's throw this thing up on the turntable and dive into this review. And now let's start with a nice 360-degree view of the Torosaurus and its baby. This thing is absolutely beautiful. I have to say it, the last few releases from PNSO have been absolute masterpieces in my eyes, and this Torosaurus is no different. They have definitely gotten much better with their paint apps. It's been our biggest complaint as collectors, you know, what we get in hand versus the promotional images. It's usually a big difference, and I feel like the last few releases, they've gotten pretty close of what the promotional images look like versus what you get in hand. And this Torosaurus is just absolutely beautiful. First thing out of the box I noticed, it pays a nice homage, I don't know if it was intentional, to the Walking with Dinosaur Torosaurus. You know, you have those false eyes on the fenestra, the bright colors all over the frill. Just an absolutely beautiful looking piece. And I've been waiting for a nice, you know, roughly around that 135 scale Torosaurus for my collection, and PNSO delivered this beauty, and I absolutely love the baby. The paint apps aren't as great as they are on the adult, but it's really nice to have, you know, a baby included with these figures. We've only seen it twice with this figure and the Stegosaurus. Hopefully that trend continues. Like I said, it's a much better addition than those onslaught of posters that none of us are going to use. And now for some measurements. This figure is 8 1/4 inches long from the tip of the tail to the tip of the beak, about 3 inches tall at the top of the hip. So Torosaurus is estimated between 25 and 30 feet long, you know, similar in the size of Triceratops. So I'll put this figure somewhere in the 136 to the 143 scale range. And as for the baby is about 2 1/4 inches long and just under an inch tall. All right, let's zoom in and take a look at some of the finer details of this beautifully sculpted figure. The whole figure is decked out in a dark gray color, has a nice wash over it to bring out all that scale detail. You have some nice pink around the side, but the head sculpt is absolutely gorgeous. In hand, it does not look as goofy as the promotional images shown. I think the head turned out very very well on this Torosaurus. You can see the nose horn is nice and flattened and triangular. The brow horns are nicely sculpted. I love how they give that little detail of like the growth rings at the base of the horns. They've been doing with their newer ceratopsian figures. The horns are made out of soft, flexible plastic, so you don't have to worry about them snapping off. The eye is painted in orange with a black pupil, and look at all that nice scale detail all of the face. You have all different size scales all of this thing. Like I said, this is an absolutely beautifully sculpted figure. The nostril has some pink in there. You do have some jaw articulation, and because that articulation makes the mouth look really long, but I have to say it does not look as bad as it did in those promotional images. You have some nice pink gum tissue painted in. PNSO is going for the cheekless look, and we all just have to accept that, getting their figures. And then inside the mouth you have some really nice detail. You can see the teeth are painted in on the bottom and upper jaws. You have some nice detail inside the mouth. We just zoomed out a little bit too much. You have some nice pink paint in there. Not really too much of a glossy coat. It kind of has like a very flat finish to it, but that is really not that big of a deal. And then moving around to the frill, that frill is painted so nicely. This is definitely one of the better painted PNSO figures. You have the false eyes over the fenestra. They're highlighted by some bright blue in that circle. It's all trimmed by black. You have some mostly orange and some cream color mixed in there. Really vibrant. Like I said, this reminds me of the Torosaurus from Walking with Dinosaurs. Very nicely done. And now let's turn our attention to the back of the frill. And the back of the frill is pretty much my only problem with this figure. Now, they did this with their new Triceratops and a little bit with their new Styracosaurus. It's just very plain looking. It looks like they forgot to paint the back of the frill. Yeah, there is some texturing and detail on there, but their older ceratopsian figures, it had really nice details in the back of the frill, and it was pretty much the same color as like the base color of the body, and it just looks like they forgot to paint it. It's just such an abrupt stop, like right where the head meets the seam of the neck. And it would be nice if they kind of paint a little bit of gray around here to look like a nice transition to this like orange color, but it's just really abrupt, and that's my biggest complaint about the figure and their previous two ceratopsians. And zooming back out, going down to the main body, just look at all that nice scale detail. You have a nice wash of like this pink color. It looks like there's dirt caked up between the scales. Just an all-around great paint deco all over this figure. Going down to the front legs, the toe claws are decked out in glossy brown paint. Turn them over, you have some nice detail on the bottom of the feet. Nice accurate ceratopsian looking feet. Going down to the belly, you have some nice scale details on the belly, some nice muscle definition in the chest area, some folds and wrinkles just before the thigh region. Very thick and muscular looking thigh. Looks like they used the Lane specimen scalation on here. You have all these small scales with these larger ones with a little dimple or nipple in the middle of them. Very nicely done. And then looking at it from the top, we have some nice broad hips. This is a very chunky and beefy looking figure. And then going down to the side, you can see a nice short tail, beautifully sculpted, some more folds and wrinkles, more of those large scales mixed in. Going down to the hind feet, same thing. Toe claws are decked out in that glossy brown paint. The underside of the hind feet are nicely detailed, and we always got to do our dinosaur butthole check. So yeah, all in all, just an absolutely beautiful looking figure. They did an absolute bang up job on this figure, and I don't feel bad paying $60 for it because it is that nice. This is definitely going to be my quintessential Torosaurus figure in my collection for a very long time. And now moving on to the baby. The baby is a great addition. I like how they're doing this. They are smaller than the minis. PNSO was selling for like $7 to $10. So yeah, this little thing jacks up the price like 20 bucks on this figure, and it is really nicely done. I love the baby-like proportions on here. You got the short brow horns. The nose horn is just starting to come in. You have a very small frill. Like I said, it's not as painted nicely as the other one. You have some pink on the edges of the frill, and it's so small my camera does not like focus in on it. I wish there was a little bit more darker gray, but I guess maybe there was some variation with babies as they transition to adults. Maybe they got darker. A lot of baby reptiles and stuff are more brightly colored than the adults. And then here's some more dark dry brushing on the side, especially on the back right here. So there is some really nice scale detail all over this very, very tiny figure. Let's look at the underside. You have a bright pink belly, and let's look at it from over here. I like the eye, very cute. They actually even have the iris painted in. It is that same orange color as the adult, except the pupil is really big. Looks like the thing partied on some mushrooms the night before. So yeah, a really cool addition. I really hope more figures in the Dinosaur Museum line include stuff like this, because that will soften the blow of spending $60 on these figures. And moving on with comparisons, let's compare to some other Torosaurus figures from other companies. First up, here it is with Collectes. You know, Collecting one is decent, but yeah, just like the frill, it's just really wide, and just the face looks like a little bit squashed, but still a decent Torosaurus figure for like $10. And then moving on to the king of all Torosaurus figures, here is the amazing looking beast of the Mesozoic Torosaurus, which remains one of my favorite figures in my entire collection. So yeah, Big Blue looks absolutely humongous next to the PNSO version, but you know, if you need a smaller one that fits around that 135 scale, this is the one you're going to go with. If you just want to destroy your entire wallet and have a big giant hunk of plastic, definitely go with the beast of the Mesozoic one. And next up, let's compare it to the only other figure from PNSO that came with a baby. Here it is with their Stegosaurus and baby. So like I said, I like that they're doing this. I just wish they did it more often, and like it just softens the blow of that $60. And I just love the inclusion of babies. It just is great for photography and diorama building. And let's get the big comparison out of the way early. Here it is with Wilson, and I think they look absolutely fantastic next to each other. You know, a lot of us that are fans of like Jurassic Park and Jurassic World, just, you know, the Triceratops is always too small, and T-Rex looks like this big towering monster over it. But Torosaurus and Triceratops were absolutely gigantic animals that would give in T-Rex a hell of a time when he tried to prey upon it. And let's do a few more PNSO figures. Here it is with their Iguanodon. And next up, here it is with PNSO's Jutong Tyrannus and their Centaurosaurus. Now, these three figures right here are absolute masterpieces. PNSO has knocked it out of the park with their last few releases. I feel like the paint quality and sculpting have really gone up recently, and like all these figures next to each other just look absolutely fantastic. And let's do some ceratopsian comparisons. Here it is with Papo's Pentaceratops. And here is a nice group shot with all PNSO's other ceratopsian. They have gave us a great variety of species lately. They're pretty much rivaling Safari. Safari has a decent variety, and so does Collecte, but they all look really great next to each other. They all scale reasonably well together. And, you know, like I said, like I was complaining about, you know, the frill on the back of this thing, how it just looks unpainted, unfinished. But look at some of their older figures. Here's the back of their Pachyrhinosaurus. Looks really nice. Their Sinoceratops painted, looks good. Machairoceratops, same thing, looks really nice. And then we start getting to their newer figures, and they're just not painting the back of them. Like Styracosaurus, yeah, it's one of their newer ones. They did a better job painting the back of that one, but this newer Triceratops, see what I'm talking about? It just looks really unfinished. Not as bad as the Torosaurus. I think the Torosaurus is the worst offender when it comes to this. So yeah, that's like my only, you know, minor complaint about this figure. And let's zoom back out, and you know, it would help if I, you know, named all of them: Centrosaurus, Spinops, Pachyrhinosaurus, Styracosaurus, Sinoceratops, Chiroceratops, Torosaurus, and Triceratops. And lastly, let's do an end of the late Cretaceous North America group shot. We have the PNSO Tyrannosaurus Rex, Triceratops, Pachycephalosaurus, and Torosaurus. And then we have the, it's not a GR Toys Quetzal, I forget who it is. We have Quetzalcoatlus, the Safari Limited, Edmontosaurus, and their Anzu. So yeah, getting pretty close to you know, having most of the species that survived till the end of the late Cretaceous of North America. Just need a few more. I'm really looking forward to Ancestors model Edmontosaurus, so I can put this Regalis one to the side and actually have it displayed with the dinosaurs it coexisted with. So final thoughts on this Torosaurus. I absolutely love this thing. I think it's one of PNSO's best releases to date. The sculpting and paint work has really gone up a notch with the last few releases, and it's just a beautiful figure. I've been waiting for a nice size Torosaurus for my collection, and I found it with this thing. It is just absolutely beautiful. I love the paint work on the frill, the false eyes on the finestra. The inclusion of a baby is a really nice touch, and this thing just looks so nice. You know, the articulated jaw does not look as bad in person, you know, versus those promotional images. You know, my only complaint about this figure is just the back of the frill looks unfinished, and it's really not that big of a deal because you're not going to display your figures, you know, facing the other way where you can, you know, always see the back of the frill. But, you know, for $60, I kind of wish PNSO would just put a little bit more effort and just finish up the back of the figure. Now, like I said at the beginning of the review, you can pick this figure up from PNSO's AliExpress store. The link is down below in the description. If you wait a little bit longer, I'm sure it'll show up on Prime with free shipping. You know, one of my biggest complaints about PNSO is the $60 price point, and I can honestly say, I don't say it often, this one right here feels like it's worth the $60. I am truly in love with this thing, and it's a fantastic piece. So that will do it for the review. Looks like we're finally getting the train rolling on the channel with newer reviews. I've been finding some Dominion figures. I got some new Collect Day stuff coming in. So there should be a bunch of new reviews on the channel relatively soon. So stay tuned for those. And as always, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, show your support by hitting that subscription button just below the video. Each subscription helps out the channel tremendously, and it's greatly appreciated. And I'll see you guys for the next one.